Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This video is not for you keyboard warriors. This video is tailored to someone that this is their first bike, they're trying to work on it by themselves. So if you feel like you want to leave a nasty comment, please don't, because this video is not for you. So hit that thumbs up, leave some encouragement to the people working on their bike, and get out. Thank you. And now that that negativity is gone, thank you for sticking around. This video should give you a little bit of insight on how to do your first oil change, a little other tips and tricks to get you started in your garage, kitchen, wherever you're working on your bike. And if you enjoyed the content, make sure to hit that subscribe button because we have a ton of videos that we are planning on making this next year on getting you started working on your own bike so you don't have to pay to shop to do it. And one more side note before we do get started, you will need a toolkit. We recommend Harbor Freight for your first one, like $100 gets you a decent one that's gonna have everything that you will probably need to work on your bike. It gets you started. They aren't the greatest tools out there, but it's better than spending $1,000, $2,000 on tools from Snap-on, Craftsman, wherever. But now we're gonna get into it. About a week out from when you're planning on working on your bike, you are gonna wanna order your oil and oil filter. I'm gonna be using the Motul 10W40 and a stainless steel oil filter because I look at the stainless steel oil filter as an investment because you're gonna be spending about $10 for an oil filter every time you change your oil. The filter was about 60, 70 bucks, but it's gonna pay for itself over time. Like I personally change my oil on my mini bike every 1,000 miles because oil's cheap, and if you get a good filter, like a stainless steel one, you don't have that reoccurring cost. Spray with some brake clean, slam it back on in there, and you're good to go. And while we're on the topic of oil change interval, you will want to refer back to your owner's manual and service manual, which I'll actually link down in the description. So with that said, they do recommend that you do it at between 500 and 600 miles. So once you actually ride 500 miles, make sure to order up your oil and your oil filter so you can do it whenever you have a free second. So with any good oil change, you are going to want to start out on the bike. You want to ride it for about 10-15 minutes, get some good miles in, shake it up a little bit for a couple of reasons. One main big reason is you want to pick up any loose debris that might be in a nook or cranny in the engine case, clutch, wherever, so it can pick it up when it flows out. Another one being is so that the oil flows out easily, because cold oil in winter drains like molasses. And another big one, it gives you a reason to get out and ride. And I don't think I need to talk any more about that. Now that we're back from our ride and the bike is nice and warm, we want to get it set up on a rear stand for a couple of reasons. And if you don't have a rear stand, it's not the end of the world. It does make things easier, but you have another couple of options. Those options being, you can use a couple of jack stands like this, or you can have a buddy hold it up for you. But regardless, what you're trying to do is get the bike level so it's off the kickstand so that the oil drains out fully. So everything we're going to be working on today is actually right behind this lower cowl. It has 4 5mm Allen head bolts, and it's pretty simple to remove, but there is a caveat, and I'll give it to you in a second. And that caveat being that this top one on the right side of your bike actually has a metal spacer behind it that will fall out. So if you have an aftermarket exhaust, your header might run straight down and you might have a loop or whatever, but a tip is to use aluminum foil to wrap your header like this, but where the actual drain plug is back there. So it protects the header so oil doesn't get on there and start burning and just give you a nasty smell and kind of wrecks the look of your exhaust. And I think this goes without being said that this area is going to be very hot since you were just riding the bike, getting it nice and warm so the oil flows out easily. So with that being said, if you wanted to wrap the header with aluminum foil before you went out on the ride, that might be smart as well. But I like to take a dirty towel and just wipe off this area to try to get any loose dirt out of that area. And one more thing, make sure you have a container up underneath to catch all the oil. It's going to come out about 1 liter, so you can use a Tupperware container or pick up one of these oil drain pans from Harbor Freight when you're there picking up tools. So to get this nut off, you are going to need a 17mm wrench or socket. I prefer socket wrenches. It just makes life a little bit easier. And it might be on there super tight. And when you are loosening it off, you want to put upwards pressure on it until you feel it kind of let go to where it's fully loose. This is kind of a game that you like to play. So it's dripping out just because I'm talking. But you want to put upward pressure to try to seal it. And if you pull it out as quick as possible, you don't get your tools super oily or your hands super oily. And the oil is going to be hot. In your case, while this is draining out, you can move the pan forward enough so that it's still catching the draining oil, and you can remove your oil filter at the same time. Oop. And try not to drop your bolts in the oil, but there is going to be a spring at the top of your oil filter in that little groove up there. Here's your little filter. It's so tiny compared to a car. And then what you can do is you can take a blue shop towel or paper towel and kind of wipe off this seal, because if you don't and you got a little bit of debris, it might cause an oil leak down the road. And before we install the oil filter, you want to take a dab of oil and kind of lube up the rubber and then install it up. This presses on. There you go. And before we add the oil cover cap, make sure that that spring is in there securely. And just put it on, line up the hole. You will need to put a little upwards pressure because of that spring. I only come in close because I almost did it myself. Do not forget your drain plug, because I've done it, Kyle's done it. It can be done. You can easily forget to put it in before you actually fill the oil. So make sure you put it in, make sure it's snug, and also you may want to change the drain plug or the washer every now and then. I like to do it every oil change, but for some reason these are kind of like stuck on there. So maybe get a drain plug that you can replace a washer easily. And I actually like to fill the oil before I put on the, what is this, little lower fairing here, just to make sure that I don't have any leaks, because it's easier to detect without that on. And we're filling it up with the Motul 10W40. Nice and red oil, which is kind of weird, but oh well. Then as a side note, while that finishes draining, you want to make sure you dispose of your oil properly. Just get a jug, or actually you can fill that jug back up with your old oil and actually turn it into a auto store like Advanced, AutoZone, a lot of places. Just call and make sure that they actually dispose of old oil before you take it into them. And guys, that pretty much wraps it up. Super simple, 15-30 minutes and you got yourself an oil change. Better than paying a shop $60 to do it for you. So you can do it yourself and learn a little bit more about the bike, how it operates, and just have that self-pride that you can work on your own bike. So if you enjoyed it, hit that like button and smash that subscribe button so you can get notified the next time I'm working on my bike or Kyle's working on his, or we're just fooling around, riding around town. So we'll see you guys next time.